I think we have a good system here. We have a good people. We have a good community, and the guys enjoy their football here. And it's I think they feel some pressure to perform for the fans and give back to the club and the community. But it's really just a good environment for them to showcase talent, develop, and enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And I think we've created that, and I think they've done that year after year.
Armando Field.
Welcome to FC Game Changer. We got game. The football club that will change your game.
Welcome back, everyone, to the FC Game Changer show. And today, John Galas is here with us, the legend, the original head coach of the Lane United men's team, and he's also the co-founder of the club. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. We're super excited to have you on the show, and welcome.
You flatter me with legend. Far from it.
You're definitely a legend. Could not skip that one.
Well, thank you.
So, John, we had your brother, Dave Galas, 2 episodes ago, and we talked a lot about the beginning of the club. What is the plan that you guys have for the club for the next, 5 to 10 years from now?
Whew. Well, I think I want to touch on the beginning too, just a little bit from my perspective, because I was coaching with Real Salt Lake Academy at the time, and Dave and I were in touch quite a bit about trying to develop a pathway for overage players that left Eugene and to come back, because there's talent in this town for sure. And they'd all leave and then have nothing to come back to in the summer. And I'm sure he shared some of this, but we just had a sort of back-of-the-napkin concept of what to do and how to do it, not knowing too much about USL, assets and what PDL was and the landscape of it nationally. Mm-hmm. And then we had this beautiful, iconic stadium at Civic, and the story is there, and it's part of the fabric of this club of trying to put a men's summer league team in that location, and it worked. I mean, we're coming up on 10-year anniversary, yes. And
congrats on that too.
It's an awesome, feat, and it just makes you feel old though. Like 10 years of oh wow, it's gone super fast.
It goes too fast.
It really has. I mean, I remember this where kids were super young, and fast forward 10 years, and I got one in college and one on his way next year, and I'm like, oh, where's it gone?
That's crazy.
We have big dreams and big plans for the club. We have signed franchise rights to start a USL 1 franchise, Super League franchise.
That would be already a professional club.
Yeah, that's USL 1 and Super League, which are professional, so a step up from where we are now. We have a very interested group in ownership, and we have plans for development of being part of an anchor tenant at Civic Park, I believe. So things are all in place. It's timing, it's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of energy, and then obviously finding the right mix of ownership and hopefully local ownership as well to support this project.
Are you guys open to have outsiders?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we've identified a few groups that are very interested in the Eugene market. Mm-hmm. The USL is super supportive of this market and needs and wants a franchise in Eugene Springfield community. Now it's just a matter of us, continuing to work with the groups that we've identified and do our due diligence and vice versa, and hopefully we can get this thing rolling pretty soon.
So the main goal is to take the club to a professional platform.
Yeah, full professional men's, full professional women's platform in the USL.
That's great. This year, the 10th year, now you guys are launching the women's team too.
Correct.
That's something that do you want to talk a little bit about that too, or?
Yeah, well, the USL had an unbelievable W League team for years. When we started USL 2, which was PDL back in the day.
Did they have back then?
They did. They had a W League, and unfortunately it sort of petered out, and there were other organizations that came in to support women's football in that sector, and W League took a hiatus, and they relaunched it last year with, I think Georgia Tormenta won it, and they won the men's as well, so they won the double, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But yeah, it's needed, it's wanted, and I think that's what's most important, is that it's wanted in communities like Eugene, everywhere. I mean, the growth of the women's game is unprecedented right now, and it's about time that we support it the way it deserves to be supported.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great for the community, because we're so used to seeing Lane United having the men's side, and now having the women's. That's going to be very nice to go in and watch. Have two sides now to go and support.
Yeah, it's double the game nights in the summer, which is the best time to live here, and I think we've shown over the years that we have great support for the men's program, and I think it'll be the same, if not more, for the women's programming, which is great.
And are you getting a lot of players reaching out, trying to be part of the team on the women's side?
I believe we are. I know Jurgen's handling most of that on the recruitment side and the signing players, and he'll be the head coach for that program. And he's been pretty busy with recruitment and signing, and they actually start training tonight. Was the first
cool.
session? Yeah.
Nice. Since we're talking about the players, it's been, 25 years of coaching experience?
Just about, yeah.
Just about. What's your process of recruiting players and building the team? Not just Lane United, but even the teams that you had prior experience with.
Well, I mean, it's all over the map because, in university systems, when I was in coaching in college, on the women's side, it's way different than what we do here now at Lane in terms of the time that you have to recruit. In college, we started recruiting very early, and it's a long process, and there's rules and regulations about contact. Specific to Lane United, it's pretty much in the fall we start to identify, local talent, not necessarily Eugene, but local, meaning
Lane
state
County,
one.
state of Oregon.
Yeah, University of Portland, Oregon State, Western Oregon. Start to look at some of those programs, locally to find out, one, if they're interested in staying and playing in the summer. Two, if they're even available to play based on summer school, and then certainly the talent-wise. And so we kind of start local and then go outside, sort of regional, and then national. And then within that, we just layer in some of the international recruiting that we've been able to do over the years, with a pipeline to Spain specifically. But it's a short recruiting window, if you will, but it's pretty intense in terms of, day one of just populating 40, 50 players, making your phone calls, talking to coaches, reaching out to players, and then on the back end, getting emails of inquiry from players all over the country, asking about, do we have tryouts? Can I send you video? So we try to watch as much as we can, identify players that way, and then really look at the board and formulate, what we can with what we have.
Yeah. And is there anything that when you're reaching out to coaches that they kind of set like a standard for you guys and say, hey, yes, this player can go and play for Lane United, but you need to do certain things to kind of get that player back to me for the fall season?
Yeah, the only real, it goes without saying, we want to send the players back fit, healthy, in rhythm, full of confidence so they can perform well in college. And we really try to make sure we honor that, and we really make sure we don't overload the players with back-to-back games. In this league, there are multiple games a week sometimes, and we're just very aware and cautious about if some guy plays 90 on the Friday, probably won't use him Sunday or very limited on Sunday. And that's a conversation that's, I think, coach to coach, program to program. Some coaches are like, yeah, develop them, use them, whatever. Some are pretty adamant, like just don't play 2 games in a week. And we use a Fit for 90 player wellness readiness app, training load, and we monitor everything and periodize everything and make sure that we really take care of the players as best we can.
And for the players coming in, prospective player, what would be a piece of advice that you'd give to them so they could be here, as ready as possible for the season?
Getting them right out of their college spring season. Most of them are in rhythm. They're fit. They're excited. They're, pretty confident and excited to start the new chapter in the summer. The only thing I would tell them is just to be open-minded, to come in and learn from and play for a different coaching staff and play with different players that you're not quite used to, perhaps, and just come in with an open, positive attitude. I mean, you played for us, and you've been a part of it, and you've seen we've been able to attract a lot of talent from, we put in, I don't know, roughly 20, 25 pros at a variety of leagues. And, our coaching and our system and our methodology has been pretty consistent in the time I've been here and when Connor had the team for a short period of time. And the players have to be able to adapt to that, be open-minded, be coachable, and just be receptive to all the different environments and stimulants in that environment that they're going to be exposed to.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I took from coming and playing for Lane United was, as soon as I got here, one is the sense of community, and two, it's back then was you and Connor, and I felt like part of the family right away. And I felt like the other players that were part of that group as well, they felt the same way. So I think that makes the players way more comfortable from the get-go. It's nothing like, no one being too rough or, it's a good balance.
Well, I think you have to the culture starts to set itself once everybody's in and once the standards and have been established by the coaching staff and by each other of what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, behavior trends, all those things start to really come in. And, again, if you're open-minded and you're coachable and you're a good person, you'll fit in well here. I mean, we've had wonderful people come through this program, guys I still talk to. I mean, I still play with you, to Joel in Spain, to all my guys in Valencia, to Matt Persano in Austin, to Kyrie. Like, these are all part of, the fabric of this club and guys that I've been fortunate enough to coach. But they were, at the core, they're all good people, and they all came here, to really play football and enjoy Eugene, Springfield, and each other. And, we don't always win, but
it's a great time, though.
We've put in some really good pros, and we've had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, and I think it's, the ones that did go pro, such like the ones you just mentioned as well, having that season here with Lane United instead of just being off for the summer, that definitely helped them. It did help me to get back to school, and you're on top of your game already, so you don't have to, get to preseason, get used to it.
The ones that come to mind, in the past were Timmy Miller, Jordan Jones. When they both came here together, they went back to Oregon State and were flying in the fall. They were unbelievable. And last year was Duncan McGuire.
True, and
now he's with Orlando. And scoring goals and doing really well, and he won the Herman Trophy. And he had a very good season for us. I didn't expect him to have that meteoric rise of just tearing up the NCAA as he did, but he went back to Creighton with confidence.
And that was his best season as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
You see, that makes a lot of sense, though. And with you guys having the Fit for 90, being able to track where they are in terms of
we shut him down the last game because he was sore, he was tired, we knew we'd locked up third place. We didn't want to risk any injury for him. And he was honest too. He came to us and said, "I want to shut it down." And if it was a playoff spot, I would have said, "Yeah, maybe you play." Not. But he would have wanted to play anyway. But no, we made the right decision for him. And does it always translate to having a wonderful fall season? Not always.
Not always. Yeah.
But I think we have a good system here. We have a good people. We have a good community, and the guys enjoy their football here. And it's. I think they feel some pressure to perform for the fans and give back to the club and the community, but it's really just a good environment for them to showcase talent, develop, and enjoy it. And I think we've created that, and I think they've done that year after year.
Yeah. And you just mentioned fans too. We talked a little bit about Red Aces with Dave. to me, like I mentioned to Dave, they are, from the clubs that I've played for, and I've talked to some of the players in the past too that played for Lane United. They always bring them up.
Yeah.
It's like,
As they should.
yeah, like it's the most. I know. Yeah, yeah.
There's Jarbo. No.
Yeah,
And Brandon.
and I remember when I came here the first time when I came to Eugene, Frank took me to Super Taco. Yeah. And it was so funny because I get there, I'm in line, ready to get my freaking whatever burrito or whatever. Yeah. Red Aces, some of the members, they were right there. And then that's how I got to meet some of them. And then, yeah, it's just the energy that they bring to the games. That definitely helped the players.
For sure. Yeah. And it's a huge selling point for us in recruitment. Because they ask, like, well, what's the stadium like? Is it turf? Is it grass? Where do you play? What's travel like? What are the fans like? How many do you get a game? And the first thing we talk about is the Red Aces. Yeah. And just like, you will have a group of fans that will love you and will bring you into this community and will support you, win, lose, or draw, and remember you from the minute you sign with the club. No doubt. They're unbelievable. They're passionate. They will travel. Not all of them, but we'll have 4 or 5 guys that will, when we played in Canada, in Victoria, and they would go. Yeah. They spend their money, they spend time, they spend energy, and they do it together, and they do it for the players in the club. And it's unbelievable. So cool. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And are they growing, member-wise?
I think so. I know they've done a lot of pop-up events in the community recently to engage, outside of the current group. I know our fan base in general is growing. I mean, it's not obviously just the Red Aces. We have mom and dad casual soccer fans. We've got kids, that are playing in the community that know about Lane and want to come watch these, overage players and hopefully future stars. So the fan base is growing in general. Now, the Red Aces are a unique group, let's be honest. And so I don't want to say it's intimidating because they're not. They're sweethearts, but they're pretty hardcore, passionate fans, and it takes something pretty special to want to be able to commit at that level for a summer.
And I feel like people that want to join them, I don't know if that's the way it is, but they might have some sort of vetting process. Are you actually ready?
I think they'll take anybody, but it's like, do you want to jump in and to bed with these guys? Because it's nonstop and it's 24/7 fandom, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
They paint tifos and they plan, like pyrotechnics, and they'll bring everything. I mean, and this is part of fan culture in the U.S. that's really evolved and growing, and for all the right reasons. So I love them.
Yeah, they're awesome. In terms of coaches, I'm sure that you have some that you look up to. Can you name some of them and the reason why?
My first real exposure in a professional environment that I can think of, where I was sort of in the club and watching and observing, always knew I wanted to coach. From in high school, I was like, I want to do this. I want to coach soccer. Partly because I knew I wasn't good enough to make money in the game playing. But I knew it, And then it was 1998 in grad school at Liverpool, and Gerard Houllier was co-head coach after the World Cup in '98, because he was sort of the architect of that French national team. And Liverpool had been struggling a bit. I had Roy Evans as the manager, former boot room boy, club legend, and they brought in Gerard Houllier to co-head coach, which I think at the time was pretty rare. I don't think there'd been something like that at that level, where you had 2 managers kind of running the team. It worked, I think, for the club. It didn't work for Roy. He was fired in October of '98, and Houllier took over full-time.
Has that been done since?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
And then Houllier had a really good run with Liverpool, and Europa Cup, and really started to bring in some talent and help the academy on a lot of levels, and just did an amazing job. And watching him work with his staff. Samuel Lee was still there as a Liverpool legend. Patrice Berg, I think was his name, was Julier's main assistant, and then Phil Thompson was also a Liverpool coach, former player. But Julier, for me, was the one that I kind of looked at and went, okay, I got to watch this guy, and not.
What did you see? Just the way?
Just tactically, obviously how they set up their Monday through Friday or their Tuesday.
And you were there
Friday.
to see all of it?
Pretty much. I mean, I had unparalleled access for an American kid in grad school, and I could go to any first-team training session.
That's awesome.
They gave me a ticket to all home games. I go train at the academy. I ended up doing some work in my last 2 months out at the academy when it opened. Opened, I think, in January. And then I was there from, March, April, May, before I moved back. But just watching them, these are masters of their craft, right? And how their player management. And you're dealing with Michael Owen, who had just popped on the scene as an 18-year-old coming off a World Cup where he was like the up-and-coming, star of Liverpool and England. Steve McManaman, Robbie Fowler.
Legends.
Great players that all came through, Liverpool Academy. But then also the international players they brought in and some real personalities, like Paul Ince was there, former Man U, Inter. Brad Friedel, American goalkeeper, was there. So watching him manage players, watching him run sessions, watching how he delegated sessions early in the week to Sammy, to Patrice, to Big Phil, to then managing the Thursday, Friday, game day, Saturday. And again, just for whatever it was good, bad, or ugly, it was just being in that environment and watching how these professionals worked and worked with elite, top-class players. That was the first one where I was like, yep, and I took notes. I mean, I still have a binder of like what they did, X to O and this and that, and then try to take notes and look up and see what they're doing next, and just taking it all in. And it was awesome. And then, I think it's kind of trendy now to say like, oh, Pep and Klopp,
Right.
I've been fortunate enough to meet both of them and have friends that work for both of those guys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I've tapped into that and really studied, some of their methodology and all that. So I, certainly from stylistic football, I mean, you can't go wrong with Pep and Klopp in terms of how they play and how they approach the game. So they've certainly been an influence in recent years. But again,
modern culture.
Yeah, for sure.
What Pep has been doing with Man City has been kind of interesting to see how that team. I know that you're a Liverpool fan,
Yeah.
but it's been very interesting. It's been super fun to watch. Haaland just broke the record, 35 goals, 22 years old. It's like
Milo pony hair is just gorgeous.
crazy. It's interesting because you did not mention on the modern coaching Jose Mourinho. Is there a reason?
Is there a reason? Well, he's very modern, but he's also old school in his approach to seeing out games and tactics, and you love him or you hate him. And there's part of him that I absolutely love, and there's parts, when he was at Chelsea and would park the bus when Liverpool were playing him, and I hated him. But he's a winner. He's proven that he can win certain ways, and I certainly respect it. It's not my style of coaching, but I also have not, won Champions League before. I've never been in that environment to say, you know what, we're not going to play football. We're going to defend, and I'm going to lift a trophy at the end of it.
Yeah.
So that difference, and I guess of being pragmatic versus really philosophical and sticking to what you believe in terms of how football should be played versus results. I'm not at that level, but I respect him.
Right. Yeah, no. I asked just because, you mentioned Klopp and Pep.
I've read his books. I think he's a fascinating human being.
Yeah. No, it's like you said, you either love or hate him. Yeah. Were you a Liverpool fan before going to England for your Masters?
Yes.
You're already a fan?
Yeah.
Okay. So that didn't start.
Part of why I went to Liverpool is because I was a fan. And they launched their grad program in, I think, 97. Was an MBA, football industries. So at the time, it was, I think, the only program in the world that focused on the business of football, from business courses to courses in actual football and tying those together, from growth and globalization of football, marketing, human resource management to...
It's a business at the end of the day, huh?
Absolutely. And at the time, football clubs weren't run as businesses. They were run as football clubs. And like for Liverpool had no idea, no offense, Liverpool, what they were doing business-wise in terms of data on season ticket holders and average spend per fan.
Yep.
It's like, here's a ticket, come watch the game, suck down 7 beers and some meat pies and sausage rolls and see you next Saturday. They had no idea. And then and Manchester United commercialized their whole club and this global thing. Not a Man U fan. And
that one is either you either love or hate them. That one is like that too. Yeah.
So they launched this program, and when I heard about it, it was a perfect marriage for me of just like, I have to apply, I have to get in. This is what I want to learn, that side of it.
2-year program?
It was a 1-year program. So it was coursework and then a master's, dissertation. And it was pretty intense. But I also shadowed at the club. The day I got there, basically, I had access to the first team, and it was unreal. Yeah, but being a fan, I think that happened in late '80s. I don't know if Dave shared any of this. When we lived in Geneva, Liverpool was late '70s, early '80s. We're flying on the European scene, and fell in love with the club and saw him play in Geneva.
I see.
Yeah, after I think it was in '81. Saw him play in a little stadium in Geneva at our local club, and I was just hanging on the fence, going, "Whoa, this is cool. This is my team."
Yeah.
And you saw it on the news, you read it in the newspaper. There's no internet. There's no way to really follow them. So you had
That was the only way to watch them was
TV,
going
a little bit on European nights, or newspapers and just sticker books so you could learn who the players were.
God.
Nowadays you have that stuff on your hands.
I still do. I still have my sticker books.
John, we talked about coaches. I want to ask you, you have, I'm sure each coach, they're all different. They have their philosophies, their ways of coaching players. But do you have to be dynamic and kind of flexible with that too, depending on the roster that you have in hands, or
In terms of your style and philosophy and all that?
Or do you still try to implement and get the players to buy into your style and philosophy?
I think part of that comes with recruitment. This is how I want to play. This is how we have our identity as a club. So we need to find players that fit that as best we can. Does it always work? No. But we really have a profile we look for in terms of players. Is it completely comprehensive? No, because you also take what you can get sometimes in this league, and you want to help kids get better and develop. And players that I love coaching are usually the ones that reach out to us and that want to be here and want to commit to the club. But then it's working with them within that framework for the summer, saying, hey, we don't just hoof it and run. That's not us. And players that consistently do that don't have a lot of success here. Ones that play well, that keep the ball, that make good decisions are going to have success here. And that's what we look for first. Now, can we always get them? No. Have we lost players that we really wanted? Absolutely. Have we gained players that we didn't think would do well here? And they've just shined? Absolutely.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the style that you try to implement with the players that you have too is completely different than their coaches for the universities that they play for.
And that goes back to them, first thing, be open-minded to being coachable. You've done this for so long, maybe in your university program, or vice versa. maybe their university program does something that we don't, that's better for them, that I haven't been able to figure out or we don't do, that I could say, hey, that actually makes sense. So it's give and take, but again, being open-minded, and it's easier. It's anybody can kick a ball and then just chase it and run it, right? And this is the Pep influence of just we want to play football and simplify the game, but just take the ball, pass the ball. The documentary on Barca. It's so simple.
Yeah.
But it's so hard if 4 players do it and 7 don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if just a few of them do, it's a team. Everyone has to be on the same page. Yeah, it's
and that's the hardest thing to do, I think, in a summer league, is to get everybody.
Why do you say that? Time? You don't have enough time.
You don't have enough time to implement everything you want to implement, but you have enough time to get the basics across where you can come up with a very good game model that they can pretty much follow. Will it be perfect? No. But you've been a part of it. You've seen how guys come in and 8 come in the first week, and then you add 3 more, and then 7 more, and the
Some
group
of them have to leave early.
right. And so you establish everything you can establish philosophically, methodology, and stick to these principles, and usually it works. But sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to watch, and see, because every year is like everyone is kind of excited, hoping, to see the team, win the whole thing, and I think.
Well, that's an interesting one, because for me, I look at, of course we want to win, and of course we want to win a national championship, go to the playoffs and all that, but for me that's not the driving thing behind it.
Tell me a little more about that.
I got guys for 10, 11 weeks, right? And they all go back to their respective universities or countries and clubs all over the world. That playoffs and all that stuff is a sort of a byproduct if we get there. If we do things well from day one to the last day, and we keep all the bodies healthy and together, we'll have a chance. But for me, it's more about putting them in an environment where their individual development's going to take precedent and happen. Because we only have them for 10, 11 weeks. And I understand the American model of playoffs and success and this and that, but this league was called PDL for years, which stood for Premier Development League. To me, it's still very much a development league. So I take great pride in that, knowing that we're contributing to Duncan McGuire's career now. We have Joel Reed-Strand, Akeem Ward, Kyrie, all these guys that
That's
played
way
for
more
us.
important
For me, it is at this level. Now, when we go up to USL
I was going
One,
to ask you that.
then my job's on the line every Saturday to win games.
Yeah,
and, put
and
butts
the
in
league is
seats.
longer too,
And it's
right? You have more time.
9, 10-month season. So you can actually really, really implement a philosophy provided you have enough time and a contract. But you can really implement your philosophy, player recruitment, long-term contracts. You can build and build and build and stabilize it. And in summer, we have, 8 or 9 returning guys, which is great, but there's a lot of turnover in this league.
Yeah.
So my main focus in summers is development, keep the fans happy, win more than we lose, help guys in their fall season, and hopefully help guys on the resume to go pro.
Yeah, it's good that you're saying that, because I don't think many people maybe knew that. That was, coming from you, because, a lot of fans, they just want to see the team winning, but now that point of view that you just brought up, that's very...
I think what our fans appreciate, too, is that we play attractive football, and we might not always get a result,
But it's nice.
but
to go in
they
and watch.
enjoy the aesthetics of our game model. And what's fascinating, if you look at USL One right now, even championship, like San Antonio is one of the best, winningest teams in the league. And they play some of the worst football if you think of it as in terms of aesthetics. 180 completed passes a game, 58% completion, maybe 40% possession. It's from my eyes, it's ugly. but it's
tells
effective.
a lot about the league too.
But it's effective
Yeah.
for them, and it works, and they win games. So fair play to them. And Alan, great job. You're winning games, and people come watch because they want to see a winning product. It's hard for me to just look at that and say winning is more important than the purity of football and the aesthetics of the game. I would have a really hard time playing Route 1 football for 90 minutes for 10 months.
Yes, and I think the fans would not enjoy it as much as they do.
I mean, maybe. They win in San Antonio and they keep showing up, so fair play, but it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
In USL 1, I think historically the teams that have won it, North Texas, when they started the league, played everybody off the pitch. They were unbelievable. FC Dallas's second team. High percentage passing, high pass attempts, completion rate. Beautiful, beautiful football. For me, that was the standard, that was the model. So we have to create that, and that's how I like to play football. And they won the league, running away with it, year one. And ever since then, I don't know if a team, most of the teams that make playoffs in USL 1 have negative possession. They're in that 40 to 45%. They don't play it.
How interesting is that, though?
Yeah, but they're effective. And they have goal scorers, they win games, they make playoffs, and they go on and do well. And that's no disrespect to any of those guys. I love John Harkes. I love those guys.
Yeah.
But it's a different philosophy from mine. It's effective for them. He recruits a certain way, gets the right players, the right system to play that way, and they win more than they lose. I have a hard time with that, and maybe that's a problem.
No, I think you can make that. You can be successful the way your style of playing too. But that is definitely
Yeah, if you look at the data, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like Omaha right now, I think is leading the league in USL 1 in I think passing accuracy and percentage and possession, numbers, and it's a new coach and he's doing really well in that regard, and that's something they wanted to change. And we'll see if he's in a playoff spot, or wins the damn thing. So that's that, finding that balance, and like Richmond, I spent a month out in Richmond with preseason.
where Connor is now.
Where Connor is now, and Darren's done a fantastic job, and he's got some really good players now that now he's like, yeah, let's play football, let's dial it up, and you can see a very noticeable change from last year, and he won the regular season, and it's been great to see because he's got some really, really nice pieces and good players, and that's for me is great evolution of his team, and he has a long-term plan, and he's been able to pick players in the league and put them in to the spots that he thinks would help, and you noticeable difference in how they're playing.
That's cool. That's cool. We talked a little bit about your favorite coaches. What about players? Some of them, maybe some legends.
Legends.
Current ones.
Well, oh man. See, it's generational, right? And that's why I hate the conversation about who's the best player ever.
Yeah.
Because you can't compare Messi to
Maradona. Yeah, you can't.
Different, amazing players in their own right, and stars and world famous and unbelievable, and they're legends, right? They're legends. But you also can't compare, Messi to Cruyff, different generation. You can't compare, George Best to Ronaldo. You just can't. And you can't compare Messi to Cafu. Different positions.
Definitely.
So when we talk about, who's the best player ever, I can't take part in that conversation.
Yeah. But
Because does Messi ever play in goal? No.
Definitely.
He's not a goalkeeper.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but I digress. The players I really enjoyed watching live. I was fortunate enough to be at Liverpool when Gerrard broke through at 18, I think he was, and broke into the first team, and then from a distance watched his career, and it speaks for itself. But he was one. It's weird because I'm 10 years older than the guy, and I'm like a little fanboy. But when you see somebody that good, and you're like, this is pretty good. Yeah. Gerrard certainly was. Later in life, I appreciated, obviously Cruyff for a lot of reasons. One, just because of his football brain as a player. But then his influence in coaching and philosophically and just being a person that was unrelenting in his opinion about how the game should be played. So he's one that I certainly would watch. Like if a game was on right now and it was, I'd watch. You know, appreciate, Maradona for sure because of I'm sorry.
No, love him.
No,
Love him.
it's just, again, it was generational.
Yeah.
And we got Cruyff, we had Maradona, we had Messi, we had Ronaldo, we have, the Gerrards and those guys that come through, George Best, like all these and that's not even scratching the surface. It's hard to pinpoint like one player because they all do things in their own way and their own style and their own creativity and they all come from different backgrounds and they all come from culturally and different positions, and I think it's more of like just appreciation of how hard it is to play the game itself, but then how hard it is to play the game at that level against somebody that's just as good as you.
Yeah.
Like Maldini, one of the best backs, Cafu, we're not even talking about the Brazilian Pele, of course, but the teams in the 70s of Brazil, where it's like just. So for me, it's just, I've seen Messi play it live, and it's pretty surreal. It's like watching Jordan, right? I mean, if you saw Michael Jordan play basketball, it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I've never watched him live. I've never watched Cristiano either, but those two, I would love to,
So
I don't think I will.
Who's your favorite player?
No, I don't have one. You can't
Is that
argue.
Edmundo or
No,
Dunga?
Dunga, definitely not. Sorry, Dunga, but no.
I saw Romario play.
That one is one of them.
I was coaching with the Timbers in 06 in A-League. I was a goalkeeper coach. We fly down to Miami. He was playing for Miami FC in USL A-League. And there was a center mid that played on the national team as well.
Center mid.
From Brazil national team. It was
Edmilson?
No. It was a little older. It'll come to me. But anyway, Romario, I'm kind of starstruck, because I see this little guy come out of the tunnel.
Little guy.
He's a little guy. And he's just got the swagger, and it's just like, it's a walk in the park for him.
Yeah.
He's playing USL A-League. And he scores the first goal from outside the area. He took a touch. I'm pretty sure he winked at the goalkeeper.
Before he shot.
Had a cup of coffee, and then just 1-0. And we ended up tying the game 2-2, but his second goal...
He scored the two. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It was a header from about 16 out. And he just casually jogs in the
5
box.
foot guy.
Whips in a ball, and he's out of nowhere, just bam, just snaps it.
Yeah.
2-2, done. It was nothing. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, he was amazing. He had an interview, and he said that his best coach that he's ever had was Cruyff in playing in Barcelona.
I believe it.
Yeah, he said that.
And his worst coach, Zagallo.
They don't talk. Yeah,
I did like him.
and I don't think him, because Edmundo and him, they were best friends. Nowadays, they're not anymore. Same thing with Bebeto. They played. They played. The two forwards for Brazil. Nowadays, they don't talk to each other. It's an interesting thing. But John, for players, I don't know if that has happened with Lane United, but for players they're struggling mentally, maybe they're not, getting playtime or something's happening, with family or something. What are things that you can do to help them to overcome that?
Oh, that's loaded. Me? I'm not a psychologist. No, I mean, I think the relationship you have with your players is important. You're not always going to be super close to every player, just personalities or just differences, whatever it might be. You're not always going to be super close. But some you are. And I still talk to a lot of my former players. And I can reach out and feel comfortable hopping on a phone call and vice versa. And they know that. They can call me. So I think one is just communication at the core of it is key, everything. And letting them know, whether they choose to or not, that they can text, they can call, they can communicate. Because I can't help them or at least have a conversation if I don't know what's going
Don't
on.
know what's going on.
And that's, I mean, to be fair, Fit for 90 is super helpful with that because I can look at that data and go, oh, they're very anxious today, or they got 2 hours of sleep, or, they didn't sleep. What's going on?
So then you can.
We had a player that you played with, had 2 hours of sleep, and I saw him at training the next morning. I said, hey, you slept like shit last night. What's going on? And he told me. And I said, okay, pack your shit. You're going home today. Take a personal
Rest
day.
up.
Take a pro day. No need to be here. And that helps build the relationship.
Yeah.
So if I know, and again, I'm not an expert. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm a coach, and I try to put the ball in the back of the net. But I can have a conversation. I'm old enough to have seen some things and heard some things and learned some things that I can help. And I think that's important. Same with the assistant coaches and the staff.
Yeah.
You know, struggling with confidence. Again, I think it's where are they in their career? Are they an 18-year-old that's a freshman in college and this is their first summer playing USL2? They're away from home. I've traveled abroad, so I know what it's like to be in a dorm room and away from your family, and it sucks sometimes, and you need to just punch through that and get through it. So I can have that conversation with them. Is it, family dynamic? Is it a 23-year-old? That's about to graduate and is not playing well and wants to go pro, and is looking at the down the road going, I've got 2 months left of or 3 months left of a college season. What's next? So there's some anxiety there, and just what got him there and what will get him through that is just continue to train well, hard, push through the bad days. Hopefully have more good days than bad, but just. And sometimes you just got to pause and take a break and it's a simple game, but it's pretty complex and it's a hard game to play. And you just got to take a step back sometimes and say, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
you know?
Because I'm sure they're doing everything they can as well to succeed.
Yeah. I mean, nobody shows up and says, I hope I suck today. I want to fail. No. So take the pressure off them. And again, it's cliched, but it's true. Like players win, they get all the credit. We lose, I'll take it. Because I don't want players to feel that they haven't put in an effort or aren't doing well enough. Now, if a guy turns around and shoots on a goalkeeper and on his own keeper and pots a goal, and then I'm gonna have a word, but
That's concerning.
something's wrong there. Yeah. But no player we've ever had, and you've been a part of this club, is like intentionally tries to screw up. No. So it's being able to put your arm around him, and as a coach, we wear the dad hat, the brother hat, the uncle hat, the coach hat. We try to do it all.
Yeah,
that's all I've tried to do.
Yeah, no, man. It's been working though.
I think so. We've had some success, but some failure, but you learn from it, and I think that's the most rewarding, to be honest. When you
part of the game as well. Yeah. That's why it's fun. Yeah. So, since we're talking about player related, for young players that who dreams of playing for Lane United, what can they be doing now?
We have those players. They dream. They like us.
Definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
Well, look, again, what environment are they in right now? Continue to train, be coachable, listen, dream. That's the biggest part. You got to dream. Like this started from a dream, and if it doesn't scare you a little bit, it's not a big enough dream, right?
That's well said.
I remember you sharing that story about learning English and putting sticky notes all over your room
entire
and
house.
bed and like, ooh, coffee, woo, yeah, like you went for it, and here you are.
That was scary.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
I mean, I went and coached in Spain at Villarreal. I was fortunate enough to go over there. I worked with another coach that was a good mentor later in life was Paco Lopez. He was fantastic, and his whole staff. And
You stayed there for?
I was about 3 months.
3 months,
yeah. And, I'm like, I'm an American coach, so I don't have a lot of street cred. This is way before Ted Lasso, guys.
I was going to mention him.
No, but I was like, all right, I want something that just takes me totally out of my comfort zone. And Spain, part of the recruitment of Spanish players was because they were winning everything at the time, and I was like, what are they doing? I got to go figure this out, you know? So I went, learned enough Spanish to get in trouble, got into Villarreal, was coaching there for 3 months with Paco with the reserve team, and that was so awesome because not only did I have to learn, you know, a different language or be able to communicate enough football in that language, but I had to do what I've asked my players to do, which was be totally open-minded and be coachable by the coaches because they have a methodology. They do things this way, and maybe I did it differently, but I had to adapt to that. I had to learn. I had to execute in a real pressure environment. Like this is Pau Torres, who started in the World Cup. You know, that was a 18-year-old, 19-year-old that was like, it's like I'm not going to screw that up. And same thing. I was like, I went for it. I was like, why not? And that's part of my philosophy and who I am now is because I had that experience.
Yeah,
You know?
that's awesome. We're getting to an end here,
No.
John. Yeah, we are.
does go by fast.
It does. I'm telling you. Now, this was beautiful. You sharing, you know, especially the dream part. If it's not big enough, what did you say again?
If it doesn't scare you, it's not big enough.
Yeah, no.
And I don't know where I heard that. It might have been recently, but if you think about it, it's so true. I mean,
Because a lot of people, though, they dream, but as soon as it starts getting scary, they're like, I'm not able to do this. This is actually
well, yeah,
impossible.
the
They
fear
give
goes up, and then, but how much does fear dictate our behavior? So much, you know? So much.
So much. It's just like, no, go for it. It's
I used to rock climb with my brother quite a bit. He was really into it a long time ago. And I remember like some of the first times I'd do it, and you're like, oh, this is just stupid. Like, one, there's a fear factor also, but like, what am I doing, you know? And then you do it, and you have some success, and you get confident, and then you look back down, and you're like, holy shit.
I did it.
I did it.
Yeah.
And you're literally on top of part of the world, but you're loving it. And the adrenaline, and it's just, for me, it was like with coaching and having success in some coaching of, again, not the winning part of being able to do it and execute it and inspire kids and inspire players and have success doing that. And seeing these guys now that are having a career in football or have a career outside of football but use football to get there is awesome. You know, and that's where I'm probably most proud of Lane United is that we've had 10 years of this. We've had, on average, 26 guys come through this program. That's a lot of people that we've hopefully, some good, some bad. You know, some guys I don't talk to anymore. They don't talk to me anymore. But the majority, I think we've had a real positive influence, and vice versa. You know, I have some really fond memories of you know, the first few years of just growing this thing to where it is now.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome.
You've done, not just you, but, you know, Dave and
Everybody
everyone else.
behind the scenes.
Fans.
Aces, casual fans,
Yeah, you guys
players.
have done a massive job.
That's
No,
been
it's-
fun.
Yeah. So we ask this question to every guest.
Uh-oh.
And
Uh-oh.
so tell us a game changer moment in your life and the reason why.
In football or?
In life, in
In
general.
life?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm 51, so now you're putting...
Are you?
Yes!
No
You can't
way.
tell, though. You can't tell.
I thought you were 22.
No way. Thank you for that. Don't edit that part out. I mean, there's too many. There's too many good ones.
There's got to have one game changer.
Well, if I don't say my
Let's
wedding...
that's true. Let's
or my firstborn, or that I pissed the other kid off.
Let's narrow it down
Okay.
to football related.
Yeah, no, I hate
That's
you
a
for
tough
this
one.
one.
My bad. I had
No,
to.
it's fine. It makes me think, and I don't mind that. Critical thinking is important. I honestly, I think the big one was walking into Liverpool. It's a little bit longer answer than you probably want because it's the end of the show.
It's
But
okay. It's okay.
walking into training the first day at Melwood, the old training ground, as an American kid, going to grad school.
How old were you then?
26, I think I was. And I recently engaged to Anna. So a lot of big moments happening in life, right? Starting grad school, living in England, trying to get my foot in the door with Liverpool, starting an MBA program, and walking in going, what the fuck? I mean, to your point about fear, right? Like, maybe I don't belong here.
Yeah.
I could easily just walk back through that big cast iron gate and never come back. The way they treated me, the way they accepted me, the way they gave me access, and then the way that it validated what I wanted to do in life, and also gave me the confidence, because I was coaching youth club back here and then went there. So then seeing what the pros do and some of the things we were doing back home was like, I got this. This is not, I'm not far off. I got to keep learning, keep growing, but I'm not far off. And that gave me a huge boost of confidence. And then, obviously I talked about Villarreal, fast forward, 20 years and go, okay, I got this. Even, because, even at what, that was 6 years ago I went there, at 45 years old, going, now I'm working with Pau Torres, who's going to play in a World Cup and this and that, and like okay, we're doing okay.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful.
I guess that's in football. Those were two really big ones for me. Always getting out of the comfort zone and challenging myself to learn and get better, and then having some validation with that was key.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And where can people find you and find Lane United and also the shop, Direct Kick Soccer Shop?
What's our website? No. laneutd.com, baby. Schedule up there, season tickets, the whole bit. We run everything for Lane out of Direct Kick Soccer Shop on 40th and Donald and Secret Safeway. Right here. And look, we're so thankful for the fans and the community that we get to do this every summer. We want to turn this into a 10-month thing and make it pro for men's and women's, but
it's going to happen. This
is the best time of the year to be here in the summer in Eugene, and we want to make sure that we pack the park and put on a show, baby.
I know. John, thank you.
Deal.
So much.
Love you.
Yeah, I love you too. And thank you for being part of this.
My pleasure.
Yep.
Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please help us out. Subscribe down below and also like the video as well. I hope to catch you soon. Have a good one.